It's the NUKA-COLA Lounge, presented by the Triple S League.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Triple S Podcast, live from the NUKA-COLA Lounge. My name is Ash, and I'm here with SimCity and Kattie Kat.
Hey guys!
How are you folks this fine evening?
Well, other than the temperature continuing to dip in the northern hemisphere of the world, and everybody walking around with a cold, it's good. It's good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, not bad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes, there's this bug going around here. Just everyone seems to have it. Everyone's coughing and hacking, but that's not fun stuff to talk about. Let's talk about other stuff. Let's talk about what's gone on in gaming and nerd news this week. So, Dishonored 2.
Well, first, before we get into that, we do have to mention that we have the passing of a great actor whom I will sorely miss, who was a not always a big icon in sci-fi, but big enough that we should mention it. So.
Well, I think most of our audience will recognize Ron Glass. I mean, he's been on TV for years, on a variety of shows, but well known amongst the sci-fi fan audience for the role of Shepherd Book on Firefly. Passed away this week at the age of 71. So that's indeed too bad. He was one of my favorite characters on that show.
Yeah, he was killed off in the movie, and I don't know how this is going to affect the game that's coming out. Which I do have a bit of news. We'll talk about that after this here, but it's sad to see him go. But I mean, anytime you live past 70, that's pretty decent for age. So. That's
not bad.
It's not terrible. So, but anyways, sorely missed. Now about the Firefly online game, this is being backed by Fox, and unfortunately, there's been zero information on it. I have found the reason for there being no information on it. A friend in the industry has let me know that they are still working on the game, and that the game is still coming off very, very well. The progression is they're still working on it. It is not frozen. A lot of people suggested that they had just cut production of the game completely, and that there is no game to be had, that there will be nothing coming out, and that Fox just hasn't allowed them to announce that. The reason why we've had no information on this title is that Fox has put a gag order on them because they didn't like how open they were being with the community. The developers are not straight up employees of Fox, and they were being very open and communicative about in the production.
We can't let people know that stuff. We can't.
You can't let people know how production is going. So anyways, the reason why there has been zero updates on their website, and zero updates on the Twitters, and zero updates from anybody on anything is because they were placed under a legal gag order, meaning that they could not talk about anything at all. Not even whether or not they're working on the title anymore. They couldn't talk about it at all. A simple nod of, oh yeah, we're still working on it, simply nodding to that yes to that question would end up getting the developers into serious legal hot water with the Fox News, or sorry, not Fox News, the Fox lawyers, 20th Century Fox. So that's quite frustrating. But apparently the game is still coming, so that's good news.
That's just another example of a company not understanding their audience.
Yes.
And Firefly has a history. It's got such a massive community fan base. They're insane not getting the fans involved. Mm-hmm. The Serenity movie was one of the first crowd-funded films.
Mm-hmm.
Where, do they not understand the history of this franchise and how much community involvement there has been in its very existence? I mean, after the show was canceled, then again, they did cancel Firefly.
Yeah, we won't beat a dead horse with that, but I mean, it's so frustrating seeing these companies not understand the new media and how it interacts with people. So
that's a weird saying. That is a weird saying. Beating a dead horse. Where did that come from? As opposed to what? Beating a live horse?
Yeah, it comes from like basically pre-industrial age, where sometimes horses would just lay down and not want to pull the carts anymore. It's an issue that we still have on some of the ranches that I go to every now and then. You still get that in a horse's behavior. A horse will just decide that, okay, it's done doing whatever you want it to do, and it's just going to lay down or stop moving, and you're just going to have to deal with it. It's a weird behavioral quirk that naturally was more noticeable in pre-industrial times,
like when we actually had horses and stuff.
When you actually had to rely on them, and when they stopped moving or just kind of lay down. Now the way you got them moving was by hitting them enough, and so when a horse actually died and somebody just kept on beating quote the dead horse to try and get it to move, and it was pointless because the horse was not being stubborn, the horse was dead. And so that's where that saying comes from.
Mm-hmm. This moment in linguistic history brought to you by Pratchett's Jellied Eels. Pratchett's Jellied Eels. And for a delicious dessert twist, try Pratchett's eel-flavored jelly. So, moving on.
Gross.
We had a couple of updates with some games that have been in the news recently. Dishonored 2 got a big... not a big update, but a much-anticipated performance-enhancing update that fixed performance issues on PC. And I know that Dishonored 2, it has gotten mixed reviews, and a large reason for that, in my understanding anyway, was because of poor performance on some PCs. And even on mine, I didn't get as... I didn't get as good of performance as I was hoping for, and I wasn't sure if it was just a limitation of my setup or if it was these actual performance issues that had been reported. But I did install the update, and actually I was able to bump it up from high graphics to ultra graphics and not have any of the frame rate issues I was having before. So that was really nice. That was really nice to just give it that extra boost. But hopefully this will result in the average game reviews going up, which I think they deserve to. I think Dishonored 2 is a fantastic game. I mean, some people don't enjoy it as much as I do, but I've been loving it, and it's unfortunate when a technical issue causes a game to take a hit in ratings, as opposed to the quality of the game itself.
Yeah, I did notice that a lot of the reviews coming out for it was like, well, my performance, and it's not talking about the game, but just the performance issue, and it's kind of...
That's what I saw as well, with a bunch of the...
If it's not, Arkham Knight style level, then, is it really worth the downvote just because there's some minor performance issues?
Yeah.
And... But... Well.
But speaking of games that were disappointing after they were released, or people who were disappointed in the product, they got No Man's Sky is back in the news with a major update this week, expanded game mechanics and stuff like that. And it's really interesting to see this. I mean, the development team was silent, just completely nothing.
The fate of this planet apparently went to a different planet, like in their game, and then just had absolute radio silence. So
but this major update, which no doubt was probably in response to a lot of the negative press that happened after the fact. People felt very let down by No Man's Sky. They felt that it did not deliver what it had promised, and we agreed with that assessment. Now, Syb, I'm pretty sure you have not had a chance to try out the update yet, but have you looked into it at all?
I have not. I have I have removed it from my computer, and I will not be. I will not be. To be frank, I will not be going back to it. This update looks like it's done good, and the fact that they're allowing some modding from the community shows great potential. But for now, the simply put, the audience isn't there anymore, and it'll take something pretty impressive to pull me back to a game. This is why you gotta remember, you only get one chance at release, and you can't let this kind of stuff happen. Like, I mean, they kept pushing that game back, and to be fair, they had a lot of bad luck on that front, but they should have been a little bit more like honest about it at get-go, instead of kind of hoping that, you know, most people wouldn't demand a refund, or however they thought that they could handle it better. So I don't know.
It almost seemed like it should have been still in pre-release when it was actually released.
Yes, it was. I would definitely call release was like mid-stage beta. This latest release would be a little closer to what we'd actually want in a full release. But even then, they're missing some like key factors. And here's just as a quick reference, for any old gamer out there who's like pre, you know, I'm talking like old gamers, Privateer, Wing Commander Privateer, was a game very kind of similar to this, as far as like the spacefaring, the trading of resources, the, you know, going from one place to another. Those kinds of games have been out there for a really long time. And I don't know how games that are kind of like building off of that original design and concept, how they literally ignore and completely avoid that whole concept of setting up a trading system, setting up a form of an economy that allows you to, you know, play a game and play it, whether it's, you know, single player or not, giving you something, quote unquote, to do. And Endless Sky is a 2D game that was released on Steam about a month ago, I guess. It's still like pre like official release. And even their mechanics of buying ships and trading for stuff and making the economy work in that game in respect to you as the pilot of a ship, and missions and quests and the jump gates and the direct, even that game is miles ahead of some of these, like, you know, quote unquote, you know, AAA titles coming out, where they didn't even bother to include that kind of a system. So that's kind of sad to see that in the AAA titles, and we really hope that Star Citizen doesn't fall for the same, like, doesn't avoid like a basic thing like economy, like make the economy work, make it like actually work. It takes a little bit of effort, not a whole lot, because people have been able to do it for ages in computer game history with a lot less resources than what people have now. So,
well, yeah, and like in everything, even in man, I used to play SimCity 3000 all the freaking time. What's that?
I used to play SimCity as well.
Yeah, SimCity is a fantastic concept, fantastic game.
Yeah.
Even that, you would you know, extend hookups to your neighbors and you know, trade with them and have those economies going on. I mean, that game is, I mean, that's primitive by modern gaming standards.
It's a concept where I really fear when I hear people talk about like we're thinking outside the box. We're not going to have an economy. I always cringe when I hear that, because it's like, well, yes, you're thinking outside the box, but you're also removing a staple that has a lot of after and post effect and influences on. So that's a major issue.
How would you do that? You want to, like, when you're playing a game like that, you want to feel like you're part of a full-fledged world.
Yeah, one of the things that I'll quickly add on that was the fact that they didn't have missions for the various factions. Like, there was all these wars going on, but there was no like system in which you could easily sit down and say, I would like to fight for these guys to get this kind of ranking to unlock this kind of reward. That's a system that's in almost all games in that category pre, whatever, but it just doesn't, for some odd reason, they decided to not, do it or work with it in this.
Right.
That's kind of weird. So, in other update news, something that we forgot to cover last week was Sombra and Overwatch. So, Katie, how has you been playing it? A lot more than I have at the moment. Where's your feeling on it?
I like her. She's a good character for sure. I like the fact that she can actually hack people, and you're able to cancel out their ultimate and their bumpers. If you play on a console,
oh man,
yeah.
it cancels out their bumpers, so you can't use their special abilities.
Oh wow,
that's fun.
It's only for like so many seconds, but it's great.
Yeah.
So that sounds like she would be annoying as crap if she's on the other team.
For the most part, she can be quite annoying.
But it hasn't really changed the meta, though, right?
No, it really hasn't. Like, she fits in with everything perfectly. Like, she's not being overused, and there's actually a lot of people that don't even go and choose her as a character.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it would be.
But that's a good thing, though. When you have a MOBA-based or like an arena-based game, you don't want every new character that you add to completely change the meta of the game. So that's good news.
For sure. And I like the fact that with the new update that they came out with, in quick play, you can no longer choose more than one of that character. So it's like competitive. You can only have one of each character.
I'm just looking at pictures of her now, and you know what she is going to change? Fanfiction.
Yep.
All kinds of new ships going to launch this week, I'm sure.
The cosplay on it is great too. That's going to be
she does look like
a huge one.
She does look like she'd be a fun one to cosplay.
I would love to do a cosplay of her.
I'm interested to see the. We talked about it last week. I'm interested to see the gender swaps.
Gender swaps of Sombra.
Yeah, I'd like to see what the male versions of Sombra will look like. It'll be really interesting to see how they take that, like that. I don't know, what do you call it, like punky cyberpunk, or
I would say cyberpunk.
Yeah, so that cyberpunky kind of like bit of a rockster, I guess.
Yeah.
And taking that in a new direction. That'll be interesting.
For sure.
Okay, I just Googled Sombra gender swap, and I got a bunch of pony pictures.
Don't do that. Don't do that. That's just... you want to stay away from that.
Yeah.
What? Cute little ponies? Actually, this is a very demonic and evil-looking pony. I just have no idea how that... I have no idea what that has to do with...
You gotta be really careful with Google image searches, I tell you.
Yes.
Sometimes you get some really weird connections.
Yeah. I know. I have safe search.
I was being driven nuts by an ad that I saw on... last week I was going crazy. I saw an ad for a video game, an app game on YouTube, and I was like, that looks really cool. And I put it on my wish list because it was on my phone and didn't have a huge data at the time. I was like, okay, I'll download that when I get home. And then about 2 days later, I went to downloaded it, started to play it. Was like, this is not the game that I saw in the ad. Mm-hmm. Did I mess up, or did Google App Store or iTunes Store, did they mess up? So I went on a tangent trying to figure out where this thing had come from. The ad wasn't playing anymore. I was going nuts. And now I finally figured out that it's one of those stupid like fake ads where they take somebody else's game content and then they put their own name on it. And I hate that so much. I'm sure most people are familiar with that tactic. But now I'm stuck with, I want to play I want to play the game that they ripped the video from the first time, and I can't figure out what it was. It's driving me mental.
How do they get away with that? That doesn't seem like...
That's it. They don't really. Like, they make these ads, they throw them away, they put them out there, and then, they get taken down. But because it's this independent company, they just throw up new ones, and a lot of the advertising sites, they're kind of shady, and they use systems, or it sometimes will fake out like features in a game to get people to click on it, because they're only interested in you loading the app onto your phone and then watching some ads, and then that's it. And it's like this we've talked about this before privately. It's the throwaway app. It's like they come up with these apps, they put them out there, they get as much money as they can in the shortest amount of time possible, then they abandon, or sometimes they just close down the app, they retexture some of the stuff, and then they launch it again under a different company name. It's just this throwaway, disposable app trash that's getting out there, and it's really, really disgusting, really annoying.
It's the clickbait of apps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I hate.
What an unset, I don't know. What a depressing business model.
Yeah, it is kind of
It's just like working the system to make a buck, no real creativity or ambition going on there. Just doesn't jive with me.
Yeah. So, in this week's Cloak and Dagger section, we should really change the music for this. In this week's Cloak and Dagger situation, I have been getting reports and news and information about some Fallout and Skyrim DLC coming out. We know that Skyrim and Fallout have hidden DLC additional boxes in Steam and in some other places that have opened up a potential new DLC. And there's tons of rumors going around and tons of information. And I kind of sort through and I try and find out what is the reality, what's the real story here, and what we believe is coming for both potentially Fallout 4 and Skyrim SE is going to be a multiplayer functionality. We talked about this way back in our early days before Fallout 4 actually came out, that there's the capability, and we got the confirmation that Bethesda had actually made a multiplayer component where you would basically create a server like Minecraft, and you would invite your friends, and you could play it while you were playing it, and kind of have the world running, and have your friends join in and have it work around. Now, the community has already created this for Skyrim, the original. So it's out there, the technology is available, and it works. And now we know that that Bethesda has been sitting on it for quite a while, not wanting to put it out, but kind of like holding on to it. They have a perfectly running system of it, but they're just like, well, do we launch it? Do we not launch it? But with all of the new consoles, with Nintendo, and with the new system, and with the new Skyrim SE, it would be a pretty good idea to maybe put that out there. And they're really thinking about it, going, this could make, Skyrim and Fallout a most played game again. It's still one of the most played games on Steam every week. It's for years now. Mm-hmm. They have been the top runners consistently in the top 10 every single week for literally years with Skyrim. And now if you combine Skyrim and Fallout 4, they easily place top 5 on most weeks. So if you add their scores together, and in some cases Skyrim is up in the top 5 without any additional help from Fallout 4. So
that seems like a thing that they might sit on for a while longer, because they've just released Skyrim Special Edition, and Fallout 4 only a year old, and I mean the most recent DLC has just come out. It's been a few months now, but it's
and they do have some issues with some of the consoles not being able to handle some of the stuff, so they might be waiting for the new the new updated versions of the consoles to come out. So we could see it. We might not see it right away in 2017, but it might be near the end of 2017. It's definitely coming, and the info that I've got is what I would say reliably solid. Okay. I did have to stab somebody in the back, and I might have had to poison somebody in a tavern somewhere. But still.
Disclaimer. He is joking. He is joking about that stuff, not about the DLC stuff. So that's actually very interesting because yes, that was one of our first podcasts. We talked about the possibility of Fallout 4 multiplayer, and at that point, it was we were talking about it as the possibility of a mod coming out because that did exist for Skyrim. Now, is there anything else? Any hints of new story content? Anything like that?
We won't see new story content. They're not really working on any of that kind of stuff. One of the ways that you can kind of figure some of this out is voice actors and who they're hiring to do voiceovers for characters and dialogue and stuff like that. So it's something that we will potentially see, years and years down the road, maybe, but not right now. Nobody's doing any of that kind of recording right now. But if Skyrim, multiplayer really smashes it out of the park, they're always going to keep that in mind because that's always a good option. Is maybe we will make a new expansion for this many years later. It's not that hard. You can see some of the amazing mods coming out, but I highly doubt it. I really don't think that we'll get it in the future. But you never. I didn't think they'd relaunch Skyrim as fast as they did. I kind of thought they might have waited another year and done it when the new consoles came out. So,
what would be neat is if you if you host a multiplayer game. And especially in Fallout, where you can build your settlements and stuff. But if your friend comes online into your game and they become a character that it becomes a settler in your town, and they live there, but then you can quest and stuff together while they're playing with you. But then when they disconnect, that character just turns around and goes back to your settlement, and they just live there. And then when you
I see what you're saying.
But when your friend when your friend comes online, they take possession of that character, so you wouldn't have just these people blinking in and out of your game. That I don't know. I think that would be
that might be interesting. Yeah, who knows how they'll handle the transition and the way that it works. The way that it works right now with the mod, it's pretty simplistic, and if you sync up all your mods and if you do an incredible amount of syncing, it can work with mods quite easily. So we will see, and I can definitely see that the possibility of you creating a list of mods, and then your friend being able to go, okay, I'm going to utilize all the mods that so and so is using, and I'm going to connect to their game, and then they're going to go from there. It's really interesting, very fascinating.
All right. Well, that is very exciting. I'm excited at the prospect of the possibility of playing Fallout 4 or Skyrim multiplayer, especially if you could get a whole squad of people together, even 3 or 4 people, and have a band of roving heroes, and crank up the difficulty and and that'd be so much fun.
I think we will see that going forward. I think we'll see if that becomes a thing. I think we'll start to see new mods coming out where they make really, really difficult encounters where and really talk about dungeons and puzzles, people having to be on switches to open certain gates, and and support magic becomes more of a reliability and other things like that. That could all become a really, really awesome thing. So literally, when you work with your community, you get this awesome stuff, this awesome content. So
yeah, exactly.
So talking about that, should we save more on Andromeda news for next week, or should we go into a little bit now?
You know what? We teased it last week, so let's talk about Andromeda. Yeah.
So Andromeda multiplayer, like I said last week, is going to be amazing. It is going to be really, really good. They've really improved the whole shooting mechanic. We're going to see some of this stuff coming up here very shortly. The storyline, of course, is going to be awesome. You guys haven't played either of the trilogy before, and so it's going to be really awesome. We're going to see, we're going to do some reaction to the story. We're going to play with that a little bit, but it's going to be really cool as far as the story goes. But as far as the multiplayer goes, it's looking to be really, really solid, really, really good. They've really improved the mechanics because it was kind of clunky before, and now we're going to see some pretty awesome stuff coming in the future with that.
So is this multiplayer for Andromeda going to be story based, like co-op?
In Mass Effect 3, it was all this co-op, like drop mission kind of stuff, and it did impact your save game a little bit, not noticeably. It just gave you like kind of another stat that was, for the most part, kind of pointless and useless. And most people finished the story before they went multiplayer. So, that's kind of a thing. Whereas this time they're really kind of opening it up to be a little bit more, drop in and play for the sake of playing, and then having this, currency that you get by playing, by doing that, and then really opening up your character customization for the multiplayer component to it. So it'll be really interesting. We have yet to get 100% confirmation on a few of the core features, like the character customization. Are we going to be stuck with the class system again, or are we going to have a little bit more freedom in that? We don't know for sure. But hopefully they are going to listen and really open up that customization, so that you taking your kind of like your one character, or you make a team of characters and kind of take them through it, instead of having to play and being really restricted to certain classes and archetypes and stuff like that. So
okay.
And
is it going to be more of, this is apparently the largest game. Well, I mean, no surprise there that it's the largest game in the series, but the largest game that the developer has put out. Is it supposed to be more of an open world concept, or is it?
It's a lot more open world than the last few games. They've really focused on the open worldness. They're still going to be the main story. They're still going to be the main direction of it, but they've learned from their lessons in 2 and 3, where they're really going to focus on allowing you to explore a lot more and allowing you to build more things in the game and make more like choices that kind of matter to you, not necessarily matter to the story, but matter to you a little bit more. That it's kind of a tricky situation where you're trying to build a story and a character, and you're forced to make some really amazing choices, but at the same time you can't customize a base or really tweak out a home planet or something like that. Those kinds of impacts are not as much, whereas they wouldn't really need to affect the gameplay and the story from game to game. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome.
Sounds like it's going to be awesome.
I'm looking forward to it. What titles are you guys looking forward to in 2017, coming up to the end of the year?
Mass Effect for sure. That's going to come very early in 2017, and then we've got some amazing games coming out. One that I'm watching very closely is Perea Chronicles, I believe is how you pronounce it. It is looking amazing, and it has got some amazing visuals and building mechanics set into it, as well as a really cool pet system. Definitely keeping my eye on that. The animation is pretty gorgeous too. So
yeah, I'm looking forward to Prey. That one looks really interesting.
I heard about that one. That one did look pretty interesting.
It was at the Bethesda E3 that I
Yeah.
first heard about that one. Never did play the original, but from what I've read, that's all right. Like, you don't really need to. Let's see what else.
I'm excited for the Breath of the Wild Legend of Zelda.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Yes.
No, I'm excited for that one too.
Yeah.
Probably won't buy a Next for a while though, especially if Breath of the Wild is not a release title for the console, then there's really no.
Well,
There's no
what they were
impetus.
supposed to be doing with it was they were supposed to be releasing the Breath of the Wild along with the new console.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But if they're, and I mean, who knows if that will or won't happen at this point? It's impossible to tell. I mean, you never know what's going on with those Nintendo Tech demos. If you're actually seeing what's going to happen or not. That's the only reason. There's literally the only reason I would buy a Next at this point on launch is if it came with Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm still very happy with my Wii U.
Same here.
We've got Horizon Zero Dawn coming out. That's going to be awesome. We've got Prey coming out. That's going to be awesome. Got For Honor coming out. I don't really know what to... I haven't made a judgment on that one. I mean, it looks like it's going to be a great arena game for sure. How much life it'll have, I'm not positive. It's apparently got a great campaign, so we'll keep our eyes on that for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Agent Mayhem might be... still haven't really gotten too much info on that. Sea of Thieves is looking amazing visually. We'll see kind of where that goes. Here, Halo Wars 2, of course, is going to be looking forward to that one. Mm-hmm.
There was another one, Scalebound.
Yes, yeah, Scalebound. It looks like the immensity of some of those battles. This really takes you back to the old, giant games.
There's one game that it reminds me of. One of my good friends showed me the preview to Scalebound, the one night, and I'm sitting here. The first thing I thought about was Draken, Order of the Flame. If you guys ever played that one on PC.
Yeah, no, that was a good one.
Yeah.
Any of those Titan games they're kind of fun when you're fighting something just massive and huge.
Yeah.
You get to fight with farts in South Park, the Fractured Butthole.
I just beat the Stick of Truth the other weekend.
I'm really interested to see where their story goes.
Yeah.
And, it's a very funny game. Another one that I wish that I had the ability to play this on PC is Gravity Rush 2. I don't know if you guys played Gravity Rush 1, but Gravity Rush 2 is looking awesome.
I never played it, but I heard about it.
Mm-hmm. It's a pretty decent game. I'm loving the previews that we're getting for Gravity Rush 2, though. I think if there's any game that I would love to incorporate some kind of like augmented reality stuff to, that'd definitely be it. Unfortunately, you can't control gravity, but it's looking awesome. Fortnite, really kind of got my fingers crossed for that. And Siberia 3 is coming out, which shocked me. I didn't hear about this until a couple days ago, and I was floored. I'm like, wait, Siberia 3? As in this ancient game that I have never, I thought this thing was done and buried like a long time. Huh, interesting. So I'm going to be looking more into that.
Well, I believe that we have come to the end for this week.
Not the end, no. we have a wonderful sponsor for this week, don't we, Mr.
Oh, right, yes. So this week, brought to you by Krampus. Can't afford coal? Scare your kids with Krampus.
I think it's Krampus.
Krampus?
Krampus.
I think you're thinking of crumpets.
Oh, it may be. Let us know in the comments.
nobody sits down for tea in Krampus. Thanks so much for listening. This is the Triple S Elite Podcast. On behalf of SimCity and Kattie Kat, we will see you next week.